Let me show you a math problem that will ruin your week. If you're 30 years old and you live to 80, you have 18,250 days left. Subtract sleep, that's 12,167 waking days. Subtract work, commuting, scrolling through social media like a zombie, you're down to maybe 4,000 days where you actually have agency. 4,000 days to become who you're supposed to be. And how many of those days are you spending waiting for conditions to be perfect? For someone to validate your dream? For life to feel less scary? The timer's already running, and no one is coming to press pause for you. Here's what most people get wrong about self-reliance. They think it's about toughness, about grinding harder, needing less, becoming an island. That's not what this is about. This is about the single most liberating and most terrifying realization you'll ever have. That the cavalry isn't coming. Not because the world is cruel, but because you are the cavalry. Look, I'm going to help you understand why you've been stuck in waiting mode. Why it feels safer to stay small than to take ownership of your own rescue. We're going to dismantle the myth that readiness comes before action, that healing happens before you begin. That someone out there holds the permission slip to your life. And here's the truth no one tells you. The moment you stop waiting to be saved is the same moment you stop needing to be. You're going to walk away from this with something rare. Not motivation that fades by Thursday, but a fundamental shift in how you see your relationship with your own life. You'll understand why self-abandonment, not external circumstances, has been your real prison. And you'll learn how to stop waiting and start walking, even if your legs are shaking. So let me tell you a story. It's a parable, really, but it's based on something I witnessed years ago when I was training lifeguards. There was this woman in open water, strong swimmer, experienced, but she got caught in a riptide. And I watched her from the shore as she started to struggle. But here's what struck me. She wasn't struggling to swim. She was struggling because she kept stopping. She'd go under, come back up, and instead of swimming, she'd scan the shore, looking for the lifeguard, looking for a boat, looking for someone to come get her. And the riptide kept pulling her further out. The lifeguard was suiting up, preparing to go in, but there was this moment, maybe 10 seconds, but it felt like forever, where she just stopped moving altogether. She was treading water, barely, looking around with this expression on her face. Not panic exactly, expectation. Like she was waiting for her rescue to arrive before she could allow herself to act. And then something shifted. Maybe she got tired of waiting, maybe she realized no one was close enough yet, but she stopped looking outward and started moving her arms. Really moving. Strong, deliberate strokes parallel to the shore. Exactly like you're supposed to do in a riptide. Within 30 seconds, she was out of the current. By the time the lifeguard reached her, she was already swimming back on her own. Later, when we talked to her, she said something I've never forgotten. She said, "I know how to swim. I've always known how to swim. But I was so focused on being rescued that I forgot I could rescue myself." That's you. That's me. That's all of us at some point. We're so focused on being rescued by the perfect opportunity, by the right relationship, by the better circumstances, by someone finally seeing our worth, that we forget we already know how to swim. We forget we have arms. We forget that motion is available to us right now, in this moment, even if it's imperfect, even if we're scared, even if the current is strong. Let me tell you another story, and this one's more personal. I spent my entire 20s waiting for my life to start. I'm serious. I had this mental checklist, right? Get the degree, then life starts. Get the good job, then life starts. Pay off the debt, then life starts. Meet the right person, then life starts. Heal from the childhood stuff, then life starts. And you know what happened? I looked up one day, and I was 33 years old, sitting in a studio apartment I hated, working a job that was slowly eroding my soul, and I realized something that made my stomach drop. I'd been living in the waiting room so long, I'd forgotten there was a door. I'd been waiting for permission. Permission from who? I don't even know. My parents? Society? Some cosmic authority figure who was supposed to tap me on the shoulder and say, okay, Tony, you've suffered enough, you've learned enough, you've proven enough, now you're allowed to go live. That person never showed up. That moment never came. And the most painful part, all those years I was waiting, I was blaming my circumstances. I tell myself, once I have more money, once I have more time, once I feel more confident, once the timing is right, then I'll start. But the truth is, the timing was never going to feel right. The circumstances were never going to be perfect. I wasn't waiting for the right conditions, I was waiting for an excuse to finally act that felt safe enough, justified enough that I wouldn't have to take full responsibility if it didn't work out. That's the real reason we wait. Not because we're not ready, but because waiting gives us someone to blame. If we never try, we never fail. If we never start, we never have to face the terrifying possibility that we might not be as capable as we hoped, or that we might succeed, and then have to deal with the responsibility that comes with that. Waiting is safe. Waiting is comfortable. Waiting means you never have to confront the person you're actually capable of becoming. But here's what I learned. The moment I stopped waiting, the moment I walked through that door imperfect, unready, still carrying all my wounds, that's when my actual life began. Not my perfect life. Not my healed life. My real life.
So why do we do this? Why do we wait? Let me show you what's really happening under the surface, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. First, there's this myth of readiness that we've all bought into. We think that somewhere, somehow, there's going to be this magical moment where we feel ready, where the fear goes away, where the doubt disappears, where we wake up one morning and think, yes, today I am fully prepared to do the thing I've been avoiding. That day doesn't exist. No one feels ready. And I mean no one. The CEO doesn't feel ready for the board meeting. The author doesn't feel ready to publish the book. The parent doesn't feel ready for the baby to arrive. Readiness is not a feeling you have before you act. It's a story you tell yourself after you've already done the thing and survived it. Think about it. When have you ever felt truly ready for anything important? Your first day of school, your first kiss, your first job, moving to a new city, having a difficult conversation? You didn't feel ready for any of it. But you did it anyway, and you figured it out in motion. That's how it always works. Waiting to feel ready is waiting forever. It's like waiting to feel like going to the gym before you go to the gym. It's like waiting to feel like eating vegetables before you eat vegetables. The feeling doesn't create the action creates the feeling. So the real question isn't, am I ready? The real question is, am I willing? Am I willing to be scared and do it anyway? Am I willing to be imperfect and do it anyway? Am I willing to not know exactly how it's going to turn out and do it anyway? Because willing is different than ready. Ready implies you have everything you need. Willing just means you're going to move forward with what you've got. Here's the second thing, and this one's going to sting a little. When you wait for someone to save you, you're not being hopeful. You're abandoning yourself. I know that sounds harsh, but stay with me. Every time you say, I'll wait until someone notices me, or I'll wait until someone gives me the opportunity, or I'll wait until someone validates that I'm good enough, what you're really saying is, I'm not capable of creating this for myself. I need someone else to deem me worthy of intervention. That's not humility. That's learned helplessness dressed up as patience. Think about what happens when you wait for rescue. You stop acting. You stop building. You stop trying. You sit there scanning the horizon for someone who might care enough to throw you a rope. And meanwhile, your dreams are drowning. Your potential is drowning. Your one precious life is drowning. And the cruelest part? Most of the time, the people you're waiting for don't even know you're waiting. They're busy living their own lives, fighting their own battles. They're not withholding help from you. They just don't know you need it because you never asked or you never acted in a way that made your need visible. So you're waiting for someone who isn't coming to give you something you already have, to do something you're already capable of doing. That's self-abandonment. You're leaving yourself behind. You're saying, I'm not enough to save me. But you are. You absolutely are. Now, I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that realizing no one is coming feels good. It doesn't. It's one of the loneliest realizations you'll ever have.
because it means you're the one who has to choose. You're the one who has to act. You're the one who has to take responsibility, not blame, responsibility for what happens next. There's a difference, by the way. Blame is about the past and fault. Responsibility is about the future and power. When you take responsibility, you're not saying everything that happened to you was your fault. Some of it absolutely wasn't. What you're saying is, regardless of how I got here, I'm the one who has to get myself out. And that's heavy. That's really heavy. Because it means you can't coast anymore. You can't wait for circumstances to change. You can't wait for other people to fix it. You have to show up for yourself even when you don't feel like it. You have to become your own hero even when you wanted someone else to play that role. But here's the thing about that loneliness. It's the same loneliness as standing at the edge of your own life and realizing you get to build it, not someone else. You. You get to decide. You get to choose. You get to create. That's terrifying, but it's also the most profound freedom you'll ever experience. Let me tell you about the paradox of permission, because this is where people get really stuck. You're waiting for someone to give you permission to start, permission to pursue your dream, permission to leave the relationship that's killing you, permission to take up space, permission to matter. But the only permission that ever mattered is the one you give yourself. And here's the twist that nobody tells you. You can't give yourself permission by thinking about it. You can't journal your way into permission. You can't visualize your way into permission. Permission is not a document. It's a decision made visible through motion. You give yourself permission by acting, by doing the thing before you feel ready, by speaking up before you feel confident, by starting before you have it all figured out. The permission comes from the doing, not the other way around. I see this all the time. People come to me and they say, "Tony, I'm waiting for a sign." And I ask them, what if the sign is that you're still breathing? What if the sign is that the desire hasn't left you? What if the sign is that you're waiting for a sign? The universe doesn't send you signs. The universe sends you consequences. When you act, you get information. When you wait, you get nothing. So if you're sitting there thinking, but what if I make the wrong choice? What if I fail? What if people judge me? Let me ask you this. What if you don't? What if you spend the next 10 years waiting and then look back and realize the wrong choice was not choosing at all? Here's what I know for sure. You've been waiting for a hero. Every movie you've ever loved, every story you've ever connected with, the hero didn't wait. They were scared. They were under-resourced. They were wholly unprepared. And they moved anyway. You are that hero. You've just been waiting for someone to hand you the script. There is no script. There's only this moment and what you decide to do with it. Let me make this really practical for you, because I know some of you are sitting there thinking, okay, Tony, I get it. This all sounds great, but where do I even start? I've been stuck for so long, I don't even know what the first step is. Here's what you do. Grab a piece of paper right now, or open the Notes app on your phone. I'm serious. Do this with me. Write down one thing. Just one. One thing you've been waiting for permission to do. One thing you've been waiting to feel ready for. One thing you've been waiting for someone else to fix. Maybe it's starting the business. Maybe it's having the difficult conversation. Maybe it's going back to school. Maybe it's ending the friendship that's draining you. Maybe it's creating the art. Maybe it's setting the boundary. Maybe it's forgiving yourself. Just one thing. Got it? Good.
Now here's the question that changes everything. What's the smallest, ugliest, most imperfect version of starting that I could do in the next 24 hours? Not the perfect version, not the impressive version, the embarrassing version. The version that's so small it almost doesn't count. The version that requires zero permission, zero resources, and zero readiness. If it's starting a business, maybe it's just writing down 3 possible names. If it's having a difficult conversation, maybe it's just writing out what you need to say in your journal first. If it's creating art, maybe it's just buying the supplies. If it's setting a boundary, maybe it's just practicing saying no in the mirror. Tiny, ugly, imperfect, but real. Because here's what happens when you take that tiny action. You break the spell of waiting. You prove to yourself that you can move. You generate momentum. And momentum is everything. Momentum creates clarity. Momentum creates confidence. Momentum creates results. You don't think your way into action. You act your way into clarity. Here's the second practice. I want you to write a letter, but not from you to you. Write a letter to yourself from the perspective of the person you've been waiting to rescue you. Maybe that's your future self. Maybe that's your mentor who passed away. Maybe that's your parent. Maybe that's God or the universe or whatever you believe in. Whoever it is, write from their voice and have them tell you the truth. Have them say, I'm not coming, but you don't need me to. Here's what you already have. Here's what you're already capable of. Here's why I trust you to do this without me. Let them release you. Let them give you permission to stop waiting. Let them show you that the rescue you've been waiting for was never about them showing up. It was about you realizing you didn't need them to. Write the whole letter. Be specific. Be honest. Be compassionate. And then when you're done, you can either burn it or keep it. Either way, you're free. Either way, the waiting is over. And here's the third practice, and this one you're going to do for a full week. Anytime you catch yourself waiting to feel ready, waiting for a sign, waiting for clarity, waiting for confidence, I want you to do the smallest next physical action within 60 seconds. 60 seconds, that's it. Send the email, make the call, write the first sentence, do the first push-up, open the application, send the text. Whatever the next tiny physical action is, do it immediately. Don't think, don't plan, don't prepare, just move. Because here's the truth. Motion creates clarity. Waiting creates fog. When you're in motion, you get feedback. You learn what works and what doesn't. You discover resources you didn't know you had. You meet people you wouldn't have met. You stumble into opportunities that were invisible from the waiting room. But when you wait, you just spiral. You overthink, you catastrophize. You convince yourself of all the reasons it won't work. And none of that is real information. It's just fear dressed up as wisdom. So move. Even if you're moving in the wrong direction, you'll figure it out faster than if you're standing still. Now let me bring this home, because I want you to really understand what shifted here. You started this video maybe feeling stuck, maybe feeling frustrated, maybe wondering why everything feels so hard, why other people seem to have it figured out and you don't, why life keeps asking you to wait just a little bit longer before you're allowed to actually live. And what I hope you're walking away with isn't just motivation. Motivation fades. Motivation is cheap. What I hope you're walking away with is a fundamental reframe of how you see yourself and your relationship to your own life. No one is coming to save you, not because you're not worth saving, but because you were never the one who needed saving in the first place. You've just been taught to wait, taught to defer, taught that someone else holds the key to your enoughness, your permission, your life. And that teaching came from a lot of places: your family, your culture, your religion, your education system, your experiences of being overlooked or dismissed or hurt. I'm not minimizing any of that, but at some point you have to ask yourself, how much longer am I going to let those old teachings run my life? How much longer am I going to give away my power to people who aren't even in the room anymore? The truth that will either break you open or set you free is this: you are the Calvary. You always were. Not the polished version of you, not the healed version, not the confident version, the messy, scared, still figuring it out version of you right now. That version is enough to start. That version is enough to move. That version is enough to stop waiting. I want you to say something with me, out loud if you can. And if you can't say it out loud because you're in public or whatever, say it in your mind, but say it with conviction. Ready? I am not waiting to be ready. I am becoming ready by beginning. Say it again. I am not waiting to be ready. I am becoming ready by beginning. One more time. I am not waiting to be ready. I am becoming ready by beginning. Now this one. I am not waiting to be saved. I am learning to walk towards myself. Again, I am not waiting to be saved. I am learning to walk towards myself. And one more. No one is coming, and that is not a tragedy. It is an invitation. No one is coming, and that is not a tragedy. It is an invitation. Feel that shift in your chest? That's not fear. That's freedom knocking. You don't need to have it all figured out. You don't need to feel brave. You don't need to know exactly how this is going to turn out. You just need to take one step while your hands are still shaking. That's all. Just one. And then another. And then another. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize you've walked yourself out of the waiting room and into your actual life. It won't be perfect. It won't be easy. But it will be yours. And that's worth more than all the perfect circumstances and ideal timing in the world. So here's what I want you to do. If this video resonated with you, if you felt something shift inside you, even just a little, I want you to hit that like button. Not for me, not for the algorithm, but as a signal to yourself, as a declaration that you're done waiting, that you're ready to become your own Calvary. And then I want you to drop a comment. Tell me one thing, just one thing you're no longer waiting for permission to do. Put it out there. Make it real. Let the universe know you're serious. And if you want more of these conversations, raw, real, no fluff, just the truth about what it takes to actually live, hit that subscribe button because we're just getting started. There's so much more to talk about, so many more ways you've been giving your power away without realizing it, so many more tools you already have that you've forgotten how to use. But for now, just take this. You've got this. Not because you're perfect, not because you have all the answers, not because you're fearless, but because you're willing. And willing is enough. The door's open. It always was. You just didn't know you were allowed to walk through it without permission. Now you know. So go. Take that first ugly step. Send that imperfect message. Start that unfinished thing. Do it scared. Do it messy. Do it now. Because the timer is running and no one is coming to press pause for you. You are the one you've been waiting for. Now go be that person.